Hello everyone, I am Luna Alva and this is my channel Once Upon a Midnight. Welcome back. First of all, I want to say Happy New Year. I wish you all the best of the best for this coming 2021 that just started. Okay, so since it's a new year, I decided to try something different and add some non-fiction to my channel, which means I want to share with you a little bit about myself and my writing journey. In today's video, I want to tell you a little bit of how I realized that I wanted to be an author and what were the highlights in my life that brought me to the point that I am right now in this 2021. So without keeping you guys waiting any longer, let's start with the video. So first of all, honestly, I didn't know I wanted to be a writer or an author when I was younger. However, there were some highlights that, now that I think about it, really said a lot about how much I love writing and how much I love reading, especially fantasy and poetry. So thinking about it when I was making this video or planning this video, I realized that one of the things that I really enjoyed when I was very young, probably in 4th or 5th grade, was composition. So for me, school was not fun. It was too strict and there were too many rules and I just didn't like it. I didn't enjoy it. But when I was learning English, I had two subjects, composition and comprehension, like reading comprehension. So the first time that I came across a writing that I really liked was in one of those books, and it had a poem that is very famous by Edgar Allan Poe called Annabel Lee. So I don't know, I was 8 probably, and I just read that poem and it just blew my mind. I thought, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I just love it so much, and I loved it to the point that I, even after I was older and in different grades, I just came back to that book sometimes and just wanted to read that poem again and again and again because I just really enjoyed it, and I, as you can tell, became a big fan of Edgar Allan Poe later on. The other highlight that I've come to realize that was like that tiny little light telling me you have to become a writer, you have to become an author, was when I was younger. I loved going to my grandparents' house. Many of us probably did. And the one thing that I really enjoyed was going in my granddad's office and just sneaking my nose into all the books that he had and just like going through them and wondering if I could find like some hidden gem in there. And I did. So one time I found this poetry book. So old, it smelled like old books, it was falling apart, it was already yellow from the passing of time. So I remember asking my grandpa if I could take it home, and he was like, sure, you can take it. And I decided to have as like my own personal challenge learning some of these poems. All of these were in Spanish because maybe you don't know and I forgot to say, but I was born and raised in Mexico and moved to Canada until 5 years ago. So anyways, so finding that book was another highlight, another alarm in my brain telling me, hey, you like this. This is what you enjoy the most. Just keep going. But obviously I did, but I didn't. And I'm gonna keep talking about that. Then I went through a very dark era, which probably most of us did. I would like to call it like Luna's new moon, because in those moments of darkness, I realized how writing was the best coping method I could find. It was just amazing how whenever I had a notebook and a pen and I could just write and write and write, I just felt better. Or maybe not better, I'm not gonna say that was like the cure for my depression in that sense, but it just made a difference. I just enjoyed it. That was the moment that I was able to be myself. I was able to just put into words what I couldn't say out loud. And all these, I just kept it for myself. I never showed it to anyone. I just did it because I felt the need to do so. So I started writing some poems, I started writing some short stories that just told how I felt through a fictional character. And it was a very tough time of my life. However, that was the first time that I showed one of my writings to someone. And that was a poem that I wrote for my grandpa before he passed away. So I wrote that poem. I remember showing it to my mom, and at my granddad's funeral, I gave it to him. I read it, and then I folded it and I put it inside his jacket, and he took that poem with him. So somehow I think to this day that's like one of the most important parts of my writer's life, because for the first time I let someone read something that I had written, and it was a sad but at the same time a very nice experience. So moving forward a little bit in time, I discovered two authors that really changed me, which is Nicole Piller and Cassandra Clare. Some of you might know them. Cassandra Clare has all the Shadowhunter series, and the series that I read by Nicole Piller are called the Jane True series, and they're fantasy, and I just adored them. So somehow that gave me some inspiration to start thinking about writing fantasy, because I had only written like short stories and more like emotional things related to like my mental health, poetry, and songs without music, because I don't know how to play an instrument. Because I always loved fairies, I always loved fantasy, I always loved adventures and dragons and all these fun stuff that we all fantasy authors adore. And I thought maybe I can write something like that. So I decided to start writing a book that it would be, I guess the name would be The Dragon's Pendant. I wrote it down in a notebook. I think I still have that notebook. However, that book never saw the light of publishing. Many of the things that I wrote and that I came up with have built one of the worlds in my current series, Axis Mundi. So it wasn't all lost. It was something good that I wrote that, because it just gave me ideas, and it just gave me that curiosity of thinking, can I actually write something like this? Could I write a book? Another highlight that contributed to my writing career or my writing journey was starting to listen to Japanese rock. And I know it seems like it makes no sense, but it kind of does. And when you read my book, you will know why it does. Another highlight was meeting my best friend and author, Mia Cassis. So if there is any Spanish speakers in here in this channel, please go check her book. It's called La Puerta de la Reencarnación, and it is on Amazon, and it's amazing. You're gonna love it. So please don't forget that. So I met her, and because we were like two crazy girls just loving Japanese music and just being weird, as we have always been, I started writing fanfics because of her and because of other friends that I met. So one of the fanfics that I wrote was just, cheesy, full of cliches, like it was nothing worth publishing. However, it just gave me the same, like that insight into what it feels like to build up a plot, to build up a story, to create characters, to give them their unique characteristics. It just gave me that insight that I just wanted to explore more and more. So it was fun time. She would be sitting beside me, I would have my computer open, and I would be writing, and if I came across like a point in the story where I didn't know what to write, she'll be like, oh, put these, and I was like, oh yeah, and then I would just like keep writing, and she kept writing. Best afternoons of my life, to be honest. And so finally, the one thing that just broke, or actually built that path and started to make sense, was magic. Yes, as you heard, magic. So my best friends and I, my two best friends and I, decided to give tarot cards a try. What can they tell us? Like, what if we find something amazing about ourselves? What if? And those what ifs brought us to this lady. She read our cards and she gave us this idea. Past lives. Do they exist? Is it real that we have been reincarnated many times, or not that many times? So we started buying our own tarot cards, our own oracles. We started like building up these crazy stories of what could have been our past lives. And that was just like the thing that my brain needed to say, this is something worth writing. I want to write a story that is related to magic and fantasy and all these things that I've been building up through time without realizing until that point. So with that being said, I had a couple of trips in my life. I went to Japan 2 times. One of those times I spent there 6 months, and then I moved to Canada. All this was important because the first pages of my current series, Axis Mundi, started in Japan. I was sitting there at a Mexican restaurant with my computer and I started writing. And I was like, I'm gonna write this. I just really have this amazing story in my head that I just wanna share. I just wanna build it up. So I started writing, and I, unfortunately, because apparently that's something I did a lot, didn't follow through. I wrote a little bit, and then I wrote a little bit, and then many things happened in between going to Japan, going back to Mexico, getting married, moving to Canada. Too many things happened. So it took me 5 years to finish the Spanish version, which is called Viento Tejedor de Sueños, which in English is Wind Weaver of Dreams. Along the way, I also started writing more short stories. Many of them are in this channel, because first I wrote them and then went to a website and shared them there, but then I just didn't like the outcome. Like, not a lot of people transit those websites, and like most of them, I don't know, I guess articles about whatever else are more popular than fantasy short stories. So I decided to like take them down and open this channel and share them here. For me, that was very important because, as I said, for the longest time I wrote for myself. I wrote because I liked it, but I was too scared of sharing that with someone else, because you writers know it. When you share your writings, it's like sharing a piece of your soul, a piece of your heart, a piece of what happens inside your mind constantly, all the time. So it's hard. It's hard to tell someone, hey, this is my brain, look at it, read it. What do you think? Like, it's complicated. So for me, starting to share my stories was very scary, but a great experience. But that was the small boss. Then came the big boss, which was finishing my first book and self-publishing. That might be something for a different video, but it was until that moment, it was until I went through the process of writing a full book, full of characters, building up my universe, building up my plot, that I realized this is what I want. This is probably what I always wanted. I always wanted to do this, but I just didn't know how. I just didn't give myself, or was given in my environment, and not because it's anybody's fault, it's just like how life happens. Never gave myself the opportunity to explore that, to explore it, to stop, like, because I went to medical school and then I went to graphic design and then I finished my bachelor's degree in translation. Instead of doing all that and just messing up with my mind, I wish I had that opportunity. So I don't know, maybe I'm sharing this because if you're in that point of your life, just follow through. Just do it. Don't worry about what other people think. Don't worry about if you're good or you're bad, because you're gonna be bad in the beginning and you're gonna become better and better. Like, I'm at that point right now where I am, as many of you know, rewriting and translating my first book. And I've come to realize that that first Spanish version that is out there in Amazon, it's a draft. Which is really funny because I published it 2 years ago. But it's a draft because in those 2 years that I just continued writing almost every single day of my life, made me learn so much, made me realize how by writing and reading, you can only become better. And if your first book is a draft like mine, don't worry about it. Just keep going, keep writing, keep reading. So I guess that would be all that I can share about my writing journey. It hasn't been maybe as interesting or as inspiring. I don't know. Maybe it is. I have no idea. But it was fun to just plan this video and think back in time and realize how sometimes it's not that you don't know what you want. It's more like it's hard to accept it because maybe your environment or your way of life doesn't give you the chance to explore that part that is not linked to, oh, I'm gonna be an architect or I'm gonna be a doctor, because it's art, and art is always misunderstood, and sometimes we feel like it's not worth it, but it is. Maybe you're not gonna make $1 million with your first book or your second or your third or your, I don't know, maybe you will never will. Maybe you'll never will make any money out of it, but just writing it and just having someone tell you, oh my gosh, I love this part, or oh my gosh, I hate this character because he's so annoying, like even that, it's just worth it. So those are all the things that I came to realize until I finished my first book, and it's amazing. I've learned so much, and I've met a lot of people, many authors worth of reading, and many others that are probably gonna be amazing and that I follow closely. And I don't know, just if you want to write, just write. And if you want to read, don't forget to check all the amazing authors out there. All the indie authors as well, because just because you're not on a bookshelf, that doesn't mean that you are not good enough. So give those authors the opportunity. Well guys, I guess that was it for this video. I hope you find it entertaining. I hope you relate a little bit with what I went through. And as I said, if you don't know if you want to write or you're not sure, just give it a try. Just do it and believe in yourself. Fall in love with your stories, fall in love with your characters, and believe you can do it, because you can. I believe in you. I will keep uploading more short stories to my channel, so please stay tuned. There is a lot more mystery tales, fantasy, and horror coming your way. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, turn on the notification button, and like this video. Let me know in the comments if there is anything else you would like to know about my writing journey. I am Luna Alva, and see you next time.